Hello and welcome. I'm so happy to introduce my guest today, Susan Devine. Susan, I met online and she has fostered and experienced reunification. So she has not adopted. And I think it's important for us to hear all of the stories. So, Susan, welcome.
Welcome. Hi. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. So, tell me how you first got involved with foster care.
I am a health TA in a local elementary school, and I had a student who I was his health TA,
Mhm.
assisting in toileting and stuff. And then they were removed from the parents, um, and they went with the foster care. But because the one had special needs and had toileting issues at like 8 years old, the nurse in my school was mentioning, she was sad because the foster didn't fit. And I mentioned, oh, wow, I'd love to do that after my daughter graduates high school. Always wanted to, foster as a child. And
Mhm.
then Department of Children and Family Services called me, and they came the next day, looked at the house. I talked to my roommate and my daughter. They were thrilled. And that Friday, we picked them up right before Christmas, December 22nd, December 16th,
Wow.
2022. So it was a beautiful Christmas, you know.
Oh, wow. And so I'm assuming you had a great relationship with this child, as it was.
Yes, we were, I was already like caring for him. I was from April of the prior year. I went to his next class and in September. And then I also
Mhm.
knew his older brother. So of course I was like, well, they're gonna come together, right? And the lady's like, oh, you'll take both. I said, well, yeah, like, and just make sure it's okay with the older one. And luckily for me, with my reputation and with the kids, he was like, oh, well, what teacher's taking us? And when he heard Ms. Devine, he goes,
Wow.
oh no, she's cool, so
Ha,
it
ha,
was
ha,
really it
yeah.
was nice.
Oh, that's amazing. And had your other children, like your biological children, were they already out of the house, or were they still living with you?
2 out of the house. My one daughter, owns her own home, and my other daughter lives with
Okay.
her dad. And then I
Okay.
have a younger one. I have 36, 34, and 18. So at the
Hmm.
time, she was 15, but she loved it. Even this past Mother's Day, she had given me a card, and it's about memories with your mom. And she said the strongest thing she's taken from me is taking in 2 foster boys and making it work for over a year and a half. So
Oh,
it was the
wow.
most touching
That's
gift I've ever
incredible.
gotten.
That is incredible. Especially at 15 to be okay with that. How old was the other child? So you had an 8-year-old and how old was the other child?
And 11.
An
So
11. Okay. Yeah. So that's a big
it's all different
change.
stages. As you
Hmm.
know, kids
Yeah.
go in stages, and she loved it. She gave up her room for them. She took care of them when
Wow.
when I was cooking or I had to run out or something. She
Hmm.
was, it's a great experience for her, and she actually wants to be a school teacher. So
Oh,
it's
that's great. Yeah. And did the 11-year-old also have special needs? I'm assuming he did if you were working with him
no,
previously.
he was in regular classes.
Oh, okay.
He has like a
Okay.
what they call a 504 accommodation. So if they have any emotional
Sure.
issues, they can leave the classroom, see the, therapists and stuff. And but he was
Hmm.
a pretty cool kid. They'd both been through a lot. Apparently their whole entire lives they were in and out of foster care. But
Yeah.
they used to tell me that this was the greatest place. It was the closest to home that they felt when they were here.
Wow.
So
Wow. And did they do visits with the biological family while they were in your care and in your
not in the
home?
beginning. Mom and dad were able to see them, but they didn't. And then about 6 months into it, they visited a few times and then unfortunately kind of disappeared again. But then
Hmm.
dad did come back around. He got himself together. And
Hmm.
last May, he took the children in. So, and he's
Wow.
had them for over
Okay.
a year. And I still see the younger one, the older one graduated. So he went to middle
Hmm.
school and now he's in high
Yeah.
school. So, but I don't
And
see him.
what's it like seeing the younger one now that he's not in your home anymore? What was that transition like?
It was good, but he's, when he
Hmm.
sees me, he calls me Ms. Devine at school because, it's the formalities. At home, he called me
Hmm.
Susan. Sometimes he'll see me and get overexcited and be like, Susan, I mean, Miss Devine, you know.
Uh-huh.
He's
Yeah.
actually come to me to sew one of his shirts, one of his teddy bears he brought to my classroom and asked if I could take it home because I used to always say I was Dr. Susan, and I would send it to surgery and brought it back to him. I'm going to miss him though because he'll graduate this year. So
Oh, yeah. And are you able to see them outside of school, or is it just like not like did the birth family say like, "Oh, let's keep in touch," or was that not on the table?
no, I think there's just too much pressure on dad, and he's trying to,
Mhm.
gain back everything. I do talk to the aunt still, because when I had the boys, they went for visits with grandpa, grandma,
Mhm.
the aunt. They would spend the night, the weekend, things like
Yeah.
that. I actually
Yeah.
they have a sister who came up from North Carolina during the holidays and spent some time with them at my house as well, which was
Okay.
nice.
Okay. That is nice. Yeah. So did you have to like get certified in a hurry to foster, or was it official or unofficial, first of all?
Well, they came by and they did a lot of the paperwork the first night during the interview, and
Okay.
then I did have to take classes every Wednesday. I believe it
Mm-hmm.
was 8 weeks, and you have to be
Sure.
certified.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
they do
And your
background
home
check,
has
of
to
course.
be certified. What kind of changes did you have to make? Any changes to your home? You said your daughter moved out of her room. What was the configuration? The boys were together?
Yes, we put them in her room. She has the largest room. My roommate and I each have a room. So she bunked with me, and then we fixed up the downstairs for her because that also had like a living room area and a bedroom. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it was, jumbled in the beginning, like crazy, chaotic, but it all worked, and
Yeah.
it was really wonderful.
Oh, that's so great. Did the boys have any trouble adjusting at first, or was it pretty smooth sailing because they already knew you?
It's funny. The lady came by that night, the first night they were here, and she like was in tears, and she said, my boss said I had to come by here and make sure that I stay until the kids are smiling. When she came in, they were running around, they were playing, they were laughing, and she's like, this is amazing. And it was,
Oh,
they had some adjustments, and then they, opened up to me, and that's you feel blessed when you hear their side of it and their stories. And I always try
yeah.
to just say, it's an illness, it happens to people, but your parents love you, no doubt, because that
Yeah.
was hard when they didn't visit. Like, why aren't they coming? I said
Yeah.
sometimes parents just can't do those things, honey. You gotta wait till they're ready. When they're ready, it'll be the right time. And now the dad did come back in and did steady visits, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
he's been with them for over a
And
year.
what about the birth mom? Did she ever come back into the picture or no?
No, the younger boy,
Mm-hmm.
Aiden, he did tell me recently he did see the mom about a month ago. Um,
Okay.
so I said, "Well, that's
Yeah.
great. How did you feel?" And he goes, "I missed her." He's like, "But I also miss coming to your house too. When can I come
Oh.
visit?" So I wrote a letter
Oh,
to
it's
the
so
dad, and I
sweet.
said, "At any time you want me to take him, I can bring him back to you, whatever." And I don't think
Yeah.
dad's just ready yet. He's trying to
Uh-huh.
get on his feet, and then I'm sure that there'll be contact.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Did this experience make you think, maybe I should continue to open my home to other kids, or were you kind of done once it was over?
No, I would love to do it again, but like I said, my daughter just turned 18. She went through her first year of college.
Mm-hmm.
Now I
Mm-hmm.
would be interested in doing it again because you have to be recertified and stuff. And now I don't have anybody to take care of except for my dog, Rosie.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I
What a
would absolutely
gift.
open my home. And I tell people all the time, if you can't open your home, you can help the people that did open their home by supplying, things that don't get covered by the payment that you get. You get a very small payment.
Right.
But you need the
Yes.
toys, you need the, like, sports equipment. Like, it was so nice. I filled up my garage again, and it wasn't just the
Uh-huh.
girl stuff, it was boy stuff. It was bikes and bats and footballs and,
Yeah.
gloves and, so it was fun. I grew up with brothers, had all daughters,
Uh-huh.
and then to have boys back in the house was just awesome.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so great. And what a gift. The fact that you also are qualified to take care of children with special needs, you already have those kind of skills and qualifications is just incredibly valuable because there's so many kids, obviously, as you know, in the system, and a lot of them have special needs, and not everyone is equipped to do that kind of work.
Right.
So, yeah, have you been back in touch with DCF or not just yet?
Not recently, no, but I'm getting ready to do that. Once my daughter's in her
Yeah,
second year and things are a little smoother, I think that's when
right.
my life can be more open to it. My older children that
Sure.
don't live with me actually had um, a little bit more resistance on it. Mom, what are you doing? what do you, and I was like, but once they met them and they became part of our family and went on
Mhm.
vacation together, they were like, oh my God, we fell in love with them too, Mom. I said, yes, it's just about
Wow.
caring about other people and opening your
Yeah.
heart and your home. And you know what? It's fun. When the house is full, there's so much to do. You're never bored.
Yes.
And you always have someone to lean on. You know, if you're not talking to one kid, you can talk to the other kid. You go on special little dates with each one of them. I would, take them out
Mm,
each on their own. Like Aiden, it's your turn. Even when they transitioned to a foster after my home, I would go over once a
mhm.
week, and I would take one kid out one week and take the other kid out the other week.
Mhm.
And yeah, you just have to be there for them always. And anytime they knocked on my door, I would open it again.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Yeah. So wait, they went from your home to a different foster home before going back to with the father?
Yes,
Or
yes, the older one was having a hard time adjusting, so he
uh-huh.
went there, and then my little guy went, but then, like I said, we kept in touch, and then the older one
Yeah.
actually ended up going to another home, and then
Mhm.
from there, the last January, they called me up, they were like, "There's an emergency, can you take him back?" So I did actually take him back from January to April of last year, and
Okay.
then they went to
Okay.
dad's. But
Yep.
they were living separate, actually, the boys. It was sad for about 8 months, you
Oh,
know?
yeah. Yeah, that's really hard. It's so difficult, especially with the older they get, the more they've been through, it seems like, and it can just make it really challenging. And then they're dealing with like hormones anyway, and like
Yeah,
that
yep,
any child would be dealing with. And yeah, that's so amazing that they had you as a safe place to be able to come back to, and
right,
that you sounds like that door is open still, and
yeah.
that's amazing. Take me back to your childhood. What made you, you mentioned that you always thought that you would do this and you were always interested in foster care. Where did that come from, do you think?
Well, I was born in Brooklyn with my brothers. I have 3 brothers, like I said, 2 older and a younger one with special needs.
Mm-hmm.
So as a child, I kind of would be like, why do we have to do what Ricky does? It's kind of like he was annoying, and as I grew older and realized he had special needs, I became his protector.
Mm.
Actually, my job before working at the school, I worked for the New York State Appellate Division of the Supreme Court, representing the rights of individuals like my brother,
Mm-hmm.
and
Okay.
psych wards and stuff like that. So I guess I've always been driven and the underdog, those that we overlook, the ones that don't have a voice, that really truly need people to speak for them and be there for them, and share your joy of it so that others may open their minds and their hearts, because special needs is not going away. It's
Mm-hmm.
increasing, with mental health
Mm-hmm.
issues and
Yeah, it's
so
very true. What do you attribute that to? Do you have you seen you've seen it get worse over the years?
yeah, there's more and more needs, and
Mm-hmm.
not enough help sometimes, as a child, my brother would be more shunned. Like in church, we had to go to the quiet room because he
Mm-hmm.
rocked in the back. And I used to think,
Sure.
but he's not making noise. They need to be seen, they need to be heard. They're part of our community, not put in the corner,
Absolutely.
and now I see
Um,
things, I go places and people are so like, especially the young people, they're so kind
mhm.
to my brother. And they, like we
Mm,
went to Disney World with him and a lady came up, so you can get special passes. We didn't even know anything about it. She goes, oh, and it doesn't even cost
mm,
anything. So it's amazing that the world has become more welcome to people, but it's not going to
yes,
get
I agree.
easier. It's going to get harder, but we all have to stick together, get educated, and be there for each other. Like, I still talk to the other
Absolutely.
foster parents because they did foster to adopt, 2 kids.
Mm-hmm.
1 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
that was a relative, and then one that was in foster with my boys with them. They just recently adopted
Mm-hmm.
him in February, and they invited me to go, and it was such a beautiful, beautiful ceremony,
Oh,
it was
that's
amazing.
awesome. How did you get connected with them? Did the social worker connect you guys when you were first both starting your journeys, or how were you connected with the other foster parents?
But they had done it, like I said, years ago. They fostered and adopted, and then they were
Uh-huh.
looking to foster more children and make their family larger. So they had a little boy at the
Gotcha.
time, and the older one, like I said, he was having some issues, and he took a respite at their house at one
Mm-hmm.
point. And then we just like, I don't know, we immediately connected. We still like talk to each other, text each other, see each other on Facebook. Like I said,
Yeah.
I went to the adoption. and it's nice. Even a lady I work with, she also fosters now too and loves it. And she works in our school
Mm-hmm.
district, and our school district is amazingly supportive of this. I have to say, my boss,
Oh,
my
that's so
my
great.
building itself, they when I first got the boys, they all chipped in and gave us gift cards to all different places, bowling alleys, movie theaters, Burger King, the diner. Like, it was amazing.
Wow.
It was amazing.
Oh, that's so great.
East
That's
Fishkill,
Wappingers,
yeah,
or
yeah,
is it
Wappinger
Fishkill?
Central School
Oh,
District.
Wappingers,
And
yeah.
East Fishkill Police Department, the second Christmas I had the boys, they had given me a gift card from the police department to make sure that anything I didn't
Wow.
have for the boys, they would have.
Oh my
So
God.
they gave
That's
us food.
amazing.
They gave us like all this food. I was like, this is all for us. I was like, and they were like, yes, we wanted to do something. And I was like, wow, it's an amazing community we have.
That is so great, and it is true. And I've heard actually through other local foster moms that the Dutchess County Child Services is wonderful too. Like just really, really great and communicative and supportive and that kind of thing. So that's really encouraging to hear because a lot of people have a difficult time dealing with the system itself. So I'm
Yeah.
so happy to hear that
Yeah,
they're
they do a
supportive and
picnic
that the
every year.
communities.
Then they give away, like, the
Yeah.
helmets and stuff like that, the bike helmets and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and they really are. Anything you need, you just call them up. They do birthday boxes for the kids. Um,
Oh, that's so
when their birthday
great.
comes
I
up, you
love
just tell
this.
them the kids would like sneakers or the kids would like a bean bag,
Uh-huh.
and they provide it. They bring it over, and it's great because that's what kids
Wow.
need, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm. They do. They need to know people care. Are you single? Like, were you doing this by yourself? Are you parenting by yourself, or do you have a partner?
Yes, I'm a single parent. Sophia's
Uh-huh.
dad, my youngest one, hasn't been involved. So, I
Mm-hmm.
was married,
Mm-hmm.
got divorced from my older children's dad. But no,
Sure.
single mom.
Yeah, you're
You just
just doing
make
it
the
by
time.
yourself. Yeah, you just do it.
Um,
What kind of dog do you have?
it is a pity mix, my
Oh,
Rosemary.
nice. Okay.
Another
How old is
rescue.
she? Yeah.
5.
You had to get her kind of certified too, right? Like they had to make sure that she was not aggressive and that kind of thing. Did you have to I mean, I'm assuming you already had a license for her.
Oh, yeah,
Did
she's
they
registered and
make a
stuff. I
fuss
don't
about
think
the
they really
dog?
asked for paperwork, but I
Okay.
know the night that the lady came in to interview us, she ran over it and she actually, funny story, she pulled the woman's pants down a little bit, like, because she got, like the nails, like it just hit it. And she laughed and laughed, but she was absolutely there for the boys. Like, when they would go in their bedroom, the dog would wait down the hallway. And then when she'd come back in the living room, I'd be like, oh, they're sleeping. Like, so and the boys liked
Uh-huh.
it too. It was like sort of comfort for them,
Yeah.
like a service dog, and she's just a
Yeah.
little love herself. She was rescued,
Oh, that's
so
so sweet.
I think.
Yes, the best dogs. Yep. Oh, that's really great. What surprised you the most about this experience, would you say?
Hmm. How easy, it was to just make them part of the routine,
Mm.
and their willingness, and like, they were very loving, and you know what I'm saying? Like, I thought that they would be more scared and more, some of the training teaches you things that they do. And I'm like, wow, they don't do that though. So
Wow.
I think it was our
Interesting.
bond prior, by me being a teacher, and their safe place. School is a safe place for most kids. So I
Yes.
think that helped with the transition. And that was like surprising, that I thought it would be more
Yeah,
difficult, and it really wasn't. It just seemed natural. It just fell into
that's
place.
really interesting. You said that the older one started to have issues, like he had a hard time. Can you talk about that at all? Like, what was that like? When did it start? And how did you handle that?
I think it was more, because moms are the nurturers, dad takes care of us. And when dad came back around and started calling and having visits, he seemed to push away from me. Um,
Mm,
he also, when he got here, I would say whenever we did like nice things for him, he would almost kind of spoil it in a way, like he wanted me to think that he was bad. And I told him, but
mm-hmm,
you're not. I don't think he felt deserving to be treated that way because his whole life
mm-hmm.
he was never treated that way. And then he'd say,
Yeah.
oh, because you think my parents are bad. I said, no, no, they're not. They're different. They parented you
Mhm.
differently than I'm parenting you. That's all.
Mhm.
It's just to
Right.
show you all sides, and you can choose who you want to be. Your parent
Mhm.
writes your book and your story for you, but at 18, you get that pen. And then you continue to write your own story, is what I used to tell him. You have
I
to
love
choose
that.
whatever you like from adults, and the things you don't like from adults, don't do them. Get rid of them. You know. So, and it was hard because it was none of my kids, went through that. So that was a little bit
Mhm.
DCFS. They had training, they had people you could call, and how to have the conversations, what to say, what not to say. So in that sense, that helped him, and it helped me understand that my
Mhm.
way isn't always the right way either. You have to
Right.
compromise in every relationship, including those.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yep. It's true. It's true. Is there anything that you would tell people, like say somebody is listening and they're really interested in doing this, what type of advice would you give them before taking this step?
Um, don't be afraid to ask for help. There were days
Hmm.
sometimes I'm like, okay, I just need to walk. I would take a break. I'd go to my car and have a cigarette, which is horrible.
Hmm.
But, you know, just know that it can be overwhelming, but there's people there to help and that you'll get through it, and it's just amazing. It's like a blessing when you have those extra little people that look up to you
Hmm.
for, food and shelter and safety and fun. Like, let's go play catch. Sure. It's
Yeah.
they need it, they just want attention. We all
Yeah.
want attention.
Right. Right. And I'm also hearing something about, I'm not sure what your age is, but it sounds like they sort of rejuvenated you in a way. It's like your kids were getting older, they were, approach like getting out of the house, and suddenly you have that kid energy around again, and you get to do all the fun things again. Was that a good part of it for you? And did you feel your age? And the only reason I ask is I'm an older parent too, so I'm not trying to be nosy about how old you are or anything, but just being an older person dealing with having younger kids in the house. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not ashamed. I'm 61. And
Hmm.
it did it, I kind of you get that feeling when the kids are flying in the coop of now what do I do it myself? What am I, because I am single.
Hmm.
So I don't want to get in the dating pool, I'm okay with it. I
Hmm.
have friends, I have people that, I hang out with and stuff. But it was nice because then I was busy again and I definitely felt my health increase. I was making sure I
Hmm.
eat 3 meals a day. When no one's watching, when the other kids aren't around, you nibble, you don't eat as much, you get a little sad, you get into those mopey modes. I wasn't allowed to get in that mopey mode. I mean, yes, of
Right.
course, I taught the kids, yes, there are times you're going to be sad, you're going to have losses, there's ups and downs, but it absolutely made me alive again inside, and knowing that I was
Mm.
important to someone and that someone needed me. When someone needs you, you have a drive to do the right thing and stay here longer. So, you know,
It's true.
and I had my
It's
youngest one at
very,
42. Like, so
yeah.
you got to give them everything you can while you're here, and when my day goes, I want
Yeah.
to, when my story's over, I want to know that I've done all good,
Uh-huh.
and taught
Yeah.
that to my
Well,
kids.
that's so beautiful. Yeah. Is there anything else you can think of that you want to share about this journey?
Um, just do it. I
And
mean,
no, yeah,
it's
no pressure if there's not, but yeah.
it's amazing, if you have that empty space in your, in your house where you could throw a bed in and a couple stuffed animals and a shelf with their little belongings, and just do it. It's fun, it's exciting, at Christmas time the police officers came and took them shopping, and to watch them interact, with the public, and that people are okay with it. And just
Hmm.
we
Hmm.
need more people out there to just open their homes. And it isn't
We
always
really
forever. And
do.
if you're lucky, it is forever, that you get to
Yes.
adopt. When I worked for the court
Right.
system, I used to do guardianships, and I had a woman who was actually a famous woman, adopted a child and realized that it was special needs. And at 18
Hmm.
in New York State, you have to actually get guardianship of your children. And
Hmm.
she went through that process, and she still advocates and works with Camp Venture and stuff over in Rockland County, you know,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. I think everybody has space. They just don't realize it.
Right. And here's the other thing. People are afraid of getting attached. They're afraid of getting attached and then having the void if and when the child leaves. Can you speak to that at all? How did you feel in those first days and weeks after they left your home? And any advice on that?
Yeah, and it is. It's like letting go of your own children. Like my daughter said, I'm moving out. It's like, oh boy, it's yeah, you're letting them have their wings. You give them a home base and you give them wings to fly, and then they fly. So that's the
Mm-hmm.
way I kind of looked at it, is that I was lucky to have them for the time that I had them. You know,
Mm-hmm.
did
Mm-hmm.
it hurt giving them back? Yes, but I know that I was able to take care of them until mom and dad could have them back. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's
Yep.
okay because hopefully they'll remember me and one day knock on my door and be like, "Hey, remember me?" And you know, I had a
Yeah.
I had a cousin who she fostered down in Brooklyn and adopted her youngest daughter. And she had,
Mm-hmm.
fostered like 30 kids, and those kids always came back
Yeah.
to her. Like.
Mm-hmm.
And of
Yeah,
course,
I
I
hear
reached out
that.
to my friends, my family. I'm like, I'm sad, and like, it's okay. There'll be another time, another kid that'll need you one day. And
Yeah.
so,
Oh, Susan, thank you. Thank you for
oh
what you're doing and what you did. And there's no doubt in my mind that you will be that safe place for many other children when the time is right.
yeah, I hope so.
Yeah,
It is a
it's
blessing.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wonderful to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Okay, no problem. Have a great day.
All right, stick around for a minute. I'm going to end the recording, but you can stick around. Thank
Okay.
you.